Sit down. 23 Delta. Just a passenger, not a pilot. That's what they yelled at me while the whole cabin shook so hard I thought my teeth might rattle out. Red lights were pulsing overhead, casting everybody in that weird emergency glow, and you could just feel it panic creeping up the aisle. Some folks trying to laugh it off, others hanging onto their armrests like their grip might actually keep this plane in the sky. A few people looked at me, this small brunette in a faded cardigan laptop bag at my feet, and you could see it in their eyes like, who does she think she is? Some hero. But right then, as if the universe was answering, the co-pilot slumped over. The cockpit went dead silent. All those people who had been laughing now, they were staring at me, a few with real fear in their eyes. I stood up, walked right past the flight attendant who tried to stop me, and stepped into the cockpit. My hands didn't even shake when I grabbed the radio mic. All I said was Daybreak 9, and for half a second, you could have heard a pin drop. Then, cutting through the static, came a rough voice. Pure, military. Daybreak 9. Copy that. And just like that, every F-22 fighter in the sector broke radio silence. The sky outside going still as a painting. Yeah, that really happened. Let me back up a sec. It was supposed to be just another red-eye from Seattle to Miami. You know, the type overbooked, stuffy, full of business travelers and college kids in flip-flops. A couple of government folks heading home. I was in 23 Delta. Window seat. Sarah Clark, 30 years, old hair, tied back, loosely white cardigan. The work clothes, I look more like I belonged at some community college meeting than in a cockpit. Tucked into my hand, a small leather notebook. Kind pilots used before iPads took over. To anyone glancing my way, I was just another tired traveler. Nothing more. The flight was smooth, right up until we hit the Gulf. That's when things started to go sideways, severe turbulence. That kind of stomach-dropping bounce that makes you wonder if this is the time you finally lose it and scream. Kid in 24 drops his toy fighter jet in the aisle. I unbuckle even as the plane bucks. Pick it up and hand it back, trying to smile like everything's okay. But my eyes are scanning the ceiling, counting the blink of lights most people don't even see. I hear things other people don't. The engines pitch. The weird static, all the ways a plane tells you it's hurting before the alarms go off. Rebecca, the head flight attendant, is hustling down the aisle, talking fast into her walkie. I catch her at row 22. Is everything all right? I ask just loud enough for her, but she turns and snaps. Ma'am, please return to your seat. You're just a passenger, not a pilot. We don't need your help. The people around us start to snicker. One guy in a suit leans over to his buddy. Probably watched too much Top Gun. Someone else throws in, maybe she's got the Wikipedia page for 737s memorized. I swallow my pride, slide back into my seat, and just watch the world outside the window. The wingtip light blinking steady, the clouds below endless and empty. But I can't turn it off the training. My notebook's in my lap, already open to the page with radio frequencies, military codes, all the technical shorthand from a life I don't talk about anymore. That life where you spend more hours in a headset than sleeping, where your voice can bring people home or not. In my row, a retired Air Force guy, James Chun, is watching me close. He'd tell people later he saw in my eyes the 1,000-yard stare. You know what I mean? Like I was hearing radio signals only I could pick up. About 2.5 hours in, we cross into Gulf airspace. And that's when it goes from bumpy to outright terrifying. The plane is shaking in a way that's not just turbulence. It's rhythmic, mechanical wrong. Red lights are everywhere. Oxygen masks dangling. Prayers in a dozen languages. In the cockpit, I can see Captain Rodriguez and First Officer Kim sweating, scared, pounding buttons. The transponder has flipped itself into code 7500, hijack. They're locked out of radio, and we're drifting into restricted military airspace, the kind reserved for Air Force One and classified flights. I hear Captain Rodriguez over the PA, his voice shaking as he tries to sound calm. Ladies and gentlemen, we're experiencing a minor technical difficulty, but everyone knows it's not minor. The businessman who laughed at me earlier is now white-knuckling his seat. He tries a joke. Maybe that girl in 23 Delta can save us, huh? But nobody laughs. I'm already moving, flipping through my notebook, tracing flight corridors, realizing in a rush of panic that we're flying through the kill box, the corridor where post 9/11, any plane squawking hijack gets intercepted. Or worse, I head to the front, ignoring the voices telling me to sit down. Listen, I say loud enough for half the plane. If this transponder isn't fixed in 60 seconds, fighter jets are going to force us down or shoot us out of the sky. I know because I used to guide those pilots. Give me 30 seconds in that cockpit or we're all in trouble. The whole cabin goes silent. Rebecca and Marcus, the senior flight attendant, step aside. Inside the cockpit, I don't wait for permission. Switch to VHF Emergency 121. I bark. The pilots stare. VHF 1's jammed. Try VHF 3. Compensate for the atmospheric drift at 100 kHz. Captain Rodriguez blinks at me. How do you know all this? I just point at the seat. I used to sit right there. AWACS call, signed Daybreak 9. Then I pick up the mic and my voice isn't mine anymore. It's the one from those nights over Syria. Calm and cold as steel. Calling any military frequency. Glass lantern clearance. Authentication query. 10 seconds of dead air. Then Daybreak 9. This is Raptor lead. Authentication. November. Echo 7 Foxtrot. I answer without missing a beat. Whiskey Charlie. Civilian aircraft United 847. Souls on board 312. False hijack. Requesting safe corridor. And I hear recognition. Jesus, we thought you were dead. Stand by for escort. On the radar, 2 dots bloom. F-22 Raptors invisible until they want to be seen. The cabin behind me is dead silent. 300 people holding their breath. I hand the mic back. In the next 20 minutes, we re-establish contact with Miami. Ease the aircraft back on course. I explain what happened. The hydraulic cascade failure, the transponder malfunction, why those jets had weapons hot when I called in. If we'd waited even 30 seconds longer, none of us would have made it. When it's all over, the tension in the cockpit drops, and Captain Rodriguez asks, "You all right, miss?" I just nod, just old ghosts. I show him how to log the emergency, write a few lines in the flight record, and even sign my name. Back in the cabin, the story spreads like wildfire. The businessman comes to apologize, almost crying. "Ma'am, I owe you my life. But I'm back to quiet now," melting into the seat. An old man in row 17, Navy hat on his head, stands up and salutes. "Petty Officer Chun, ma'am. Thank you for your service." One by one, other veterans stand too, and I see the respect in their eyes. Little Tommy, the kid with the toy jet, wiggles out of his mom's arms, asks, "Are you a pilot like my dad?" I kneel, tell him I help pilots, but the most important thing is knowing when to help and when to let someone else fly. He grins. My daddy's name is Captain Rodriguez, but they call him Mustang. And I realize, yeah, I know Mustang. I brought him home once years ago over Syria when things went to hell and only a voice on the radio could guide them through. Tell him Daybreak 9 says hi. I whisper as we land in Miami. There's no applause, just a heavy, respectful quiet. The airline incident report will say it was a minor malfunction, nothing more. The story will fade from the official record classified by the Pentagon, forgotten by everyone but those who were there. But for the next few days, I get little reminders packaged from Tommy, his toy plane, now with Daybreak written in crayon along the side. A call from General Hayes at the Pentagon. "We need you back." I look at the plane and my old notebook at the stack of business cards from people I saved. "General," I say I'm retired. She laughs. "But you're still the best voice in the sky. Think about it." 6 months later, I'm back in uniform, headset on, 30,000 feet above the Caribbean, running ops for Falcon Squadron. On my desk, Tommy's toy jet. No press, no medals, just the steady voice in the dark, bringing pilots home. The world still thinks I'm just another businesswoman fine by me. Because real heroes don't look for applause. They do the job, then fade away. You want to know the truth. Never judge who's sitting next to you on a plane. That quiet passenger might be the one who saves you. Now, tell me, if you were in that cabin, would you have trusted me or would you have told me to sit down? Drop your thoughts below. Tell me what justice means to you. And share this story if you believe ordinary people can do extraordinary things. Let's keep these stories alive. The morning briefing comes through my headset clear and sharp. Falcon Squadron, this is Daybreak 9. Weather looks good, visibility unlimited. Your corridor is clear from Tampa to Nassau. Safe flying today, gentlemen. Roger, Daybreak 9, comes the response. Good to have you back where you belong. The headset feels like coming home after years of pretending to be someone else. Every frequency, every call sign, every pilot's voice carries the weight of lives, depending on precision. I guide them through weather patterns over the Gulf, vector them around restricted zones, keep them safe in ways they'll never fully understand. During breaks, I pull out the photo from that night 6 months ago. Captain Rodriguez shaking my hand in the Miami terminal, his eyes still wide with disbelief. Tommy clutching his toy jet, now signed by his hero dad. The businessman who mocked me, quietly slipping me his card with a handwritten note. I was wrong. Thank you. Rebecca, the flight attendant, hugging me at the gate. You save us all, she whispered. But what stays with me most is the moment in that cockpit when I stopped pretending. When I picked up that mic and became myself again. Not Sarah Clark, quiet passenger. Not the woman hiding behind a cardigan and notebook. Daybreak 9, the voice that brings people home. Some stories end with fanfare. This one ends with purpose. Back where I belong, doing what I was born to do. The control room hums with the familiar rhythm of operations. Multiple screens show aircraft positions across the southeastern United States, each representing lives I'm responsible for guiding safely home. My voice cuts through the radio chatter, calm and authoritative. Viper 2, adjust heading 090, traffic at your 3 o'clock, 2,000 feet below. Copy Daybreak 9, vectoring 090. The response comes crisp and professional. They trust my voice completely, never questioning, always following. That's the weight of this call sign. That's the responsibility I walked away from and found again 30,000 feet above a crisis. A new pilot joins the frequency, young and nervous. His first time in this airspace. Daybreak 9, this is Rookie 1, requesting navigation assistance. Welcome to my airspace, Rookie 1. I've got you covered. Vector 180, maintain Angels 15. We'll get you home safe. In my peripheral vision, I see General Hayes watching from the observation deck. She nods once, satisfied. The best voice in the sky is exactly where she belongs, guiding heroes through the darkness, bringing them home to families who need them. At the end of my shift, I walk to the window overlooking Eglin Air Force Base. F-22's taxi on the runway below, their pilots trusting voices like mine to guide them safely through missions that matter. On my desk, Tommy's crayon-marked toy jet sits next to my commendation letter. The letter I'll never frame, the recognition I'll never display. Because the real reward isn't medals or praise. It's the radio chatter at 0200 hours when a pilot in trouble hears my voice and knows he's not alone. It's the successful mission completion, the safe return home, the family dinner that happens because someone like me was watching from above. Sarah Clark was a mask I wore for 3 years, hiding from a calling that wouldn't let me go. But Daybreak 9 is who I really am. The voice in the darkness, the guardian angel at 30,000 feet, the woman who brings heroes home. Sometimes the person sitting quietly beside you on a plane has saved more lives than you'll ever know. Sometimes the most ordinary appearance hides the most extraordinary purpose. And sometimes, when everything falls apart at 30,000 feet, that quiet passenger becomes the only thing standing between you and disaster.